What's going on, campers? Campfacer here. Welcome back to another Texas Chainsaw Massacre the Game video. Today we have some new patch notes from Gun, some big changes and fixes. These are kind of cool. I'm going to go over these, but before I dive into this, you guys, I've been sick as a dog all week. It's been a rough one for sure. And also, if you're new here and you like what you see, please subscribe. I appreciate it. Let's dive into the notes. To start off, we have a big one here. Sissy's poison attacks. This bug resulted in all Sissy attacks having a poison effect. Sissy's normal attacks will no longer have a poison effect. Special Blend can still provide a poison attack only on her next strike. Rubber Legs can still slow down victims already affected by poison. Now you guys know, before this patch came out, she was definitely OP. The perk was kind of broken. It was stacked on, like she had a Rubber Legs stacked on top of Special Blend, and it was causing her to attack somebody and slow them down, and on the second hit get worse, and it was essentially impossible to escape her without dying in like 2 seconds. And it was definitely an OP broken thing. It wasn't like the player's fault. It was definitely the game mechanic, like the way the perk was working. It wasn't fair at all. So I'm glad they nerfed that down. I like Sissy's poison. Don't get me wrong, she's a awesome character. I like the poison things on the map and poison players, but that was just a little bit overboard, overkill. So I'm glad they nerfed her, and you can still use her as a brutal family member if you do it the right way, but you're definitely not going to be able to do what you did before. So I'm glad they did that. So anyways, moving on, we have fuse box location on the slaughterhouse. The fuse box will no longer spawn next to the slaughterhouse door. We have replaced that with a new spawn on the side of the shed near the valve exit gate. Now that's going to be in a more high traffic area. You're going to have to cut across a wide open field area, maybe even cross paths with Grandpa, and possibilities of being seen. It's going to be a harder objective to complete with it being over there. So I'm glad they did that, because where it was before, you guys, was on the far end of the map around a little corner in the bushes, kind of hidden away from the family, high traffic area, back and forth where the family are looking at doors and stuff. I mean, you could scooch over there and check that one door to the slaughterhouse and see if the fuse was on or off, or see if players are coming over there. But it was a very easy way for victims to scooch over real quick, and if once they turn that fuse box on, it's game over. They just run down to the basement and it's game over. So I'm glad they moved it at least, but at the same time, I wish they would do something so we could shut the fuse box off like we do to the valve. Because once they do the fuse box, the victims, once they turn that on, you have to wait. There's a cooldown on that, and once they turn it on, by the time the cooldown's off, it's already game over. So I kind of wish they changed that as well. Moving on over to the valve handle spawns on Slaughterhouse. We've moved the spawn location of the valve handle on the side of the garage to be in a more high traffic area. We've moved the spawn location of the valve handle on the side of the animal pen to be in a more traffic high area. Now, a lot of people, including Slash and Cast, brought this up numerous times. It's not really so much the location of the handle. The problem with the valve is the valve itself in the basement, next to the bone shard piles, and it's to defend it as a family, to shut it back off. You have to go down there and deal with the people stabbing you in the back. So that means the only way to really do it safely is have 2 family members going down there to defend it. But by doing that, you're allowing the victims to go up top and run out different exits or whatever. So it's kind of like pick and choose your battle there. It's kind of like one of those ones like that victims know, hey, if we mess with a valve, that's a decoy to get out a different way. So by moving the valve handles, I get what the Gun's trying to do, put it in more high traffic areas, which it will make it a little bit harder to find them and deal with family members, but it's not going to really solve the issue. We have another big one. We got Connie and Leland ability cooldowns. Now, I'm kind of glad that they did put a cooldown on these, especially on Leland, because Leland was using this ability to bully Leatherface in the basement, in the beginning of the match especially. And by doing that, he's wasting so much time for his own team. By sitting there looping and bullying Leatherface back and forth when he could be doing objectives and helping the rest of the team escape. Now the rest of the team is without him because he wants to sit there and bully and show off and act like a troll. Well, guess what? Not this time. Thank you, Gun. I'm glad they put a cooldown. Now he's forced to go, maybe hit him once, and then forced to run off and start doing something more productive in the game instead of, messing around. That's not what the game wasn't intended to be played like that. But you know how video games are. You never know when you release it to the public what people or players are going to actually do. And this is a result. This is a result of what happens when you put it into the players' hands with kids that just love to be toxic. Well, I'm glad they dialed that down for Leland anyways. Connie's ability, she doesn't use it a lot, so it's kind of like a cooldown doesn't really matter on her end. She's going to use it once in the beginning, maybe, and then use it again by the time the cooldown's there. So it doesn't really affect the Connie players. Connie players don't run around constantly doing it over and over, but Leland, yeah, for sure, 100%. Moving on, we have this is a really big one. This is the one that I was actually like most excited about, but at the same time confused. Like, how is this gonna work? We have escape restraints minigame. They say, we have adjusted the minigame to escape your restraints at the start of a match. It will now require slightly more taps to escape, and the overall minigame will take slightly longer to complete. Strength and stealth still affect minigame, and players can build accordingly. Now, a lot of the players out there mash as soon as the game starts. They're not stealthy at all. They're mashing away, making all this noise just to get off the restraints really fast and then proceed on, because they think, or they're right for the most part, is when they're doing that, Leatherface is still in his cutscene, so he can't see all the ping on the map. By the time his cutscene comes out, they're already off the restraint, so he doesn't know where they were. So what Gun's doing here is making it so, what I think they're doing here is making it so players have to play stealthy because it's going to take longer to get off the restraints. So if you're mashing away, like players are doing now, it's causing the red ping on the map, okay? But if it's going to take longer, Leatherface is going to come out of his animation and now see it's still being triggered because they're not off yet. And if they're mashing and making the noise, now he's going to run and find where the players are making noise and attack and kill them first. So what Gun is doing here is they're kind of forcing the players to play stealthy, because if you're playing stealthy, he comes out of, let's say now Leatherface comes out of his cutscene in the beginning. If you're playing stealthy and you're still not off those restraints, he's not going to know where you are. So that's kind of a good thing. They're getting those players out of that habit to do that. I like that. But the only thing I'm nervous about, you guys, is this. Sometimes when you start a match, and I know you guys know what I'm talking about, sometimes you spawn in the room right next to Leatherface's lair where he's sitting there killing the AI. And either he comes into the room you're at, whether you are stealthy or not, and you're dead. So could you imagine if you spawn next to Leatherface's lair, now with it taking even longer to get off, whether you're stealthy or not, it's going to be even more hard to get away from him without dying right away. So that's one concern I have with that. I kind of wish that Gun never spawned a player next to his lair. They should spawn further away and give him a little bit of a head start. That's the only thing I don't like. Other than that, yeah, there's one last patch note we're going to talk about, and it says 7-player requirements. We have reinstated the 7-player requirements for lobbies to launch. I like that, full 7-player. That's the way the game was designed, to have 7 players, 3v4. I know they made it so you could go into a lobby, into a match with like less than that, just to kind of get the lobbies in and playing faster, but it doesn't really work well and nobody likes that, so I'm glad they're forcing it to be the way it was intended, you guys. So anyways, that's it for the video today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Let's hear the comments below. Are you guys excited about these patch notes? Are you guys not excited about something? Let me know down in the comments. Let's have a conversation, and I will see you guys in the next video. And as always, campers, stay out of the woods.